Okay, we are down to our last project, and this is for us. Gotta have it girly. So this is the swappable insert. So we do have a swappable door hanger. If you don't know about it, definitely look it up online. It's a really cool design. It's a round, and then it's got a center circle, and then inside that circle, these little discs can fit. And they just pop right in there, and then there's a hole in the back of it that pushes it out. So that's what this is designed to fit in. So it's your choice if you want to use it for that. You could also hook it to a wall. You could, oh gosh, what else could you do with it? You could just lean it up against something also. So that's another option. I'm grabbing one more sponge. We are down to our last project, and I have made a mess over here. Maybe you've not made such a mess as I have. So we're gonna paint the background of this light color, number 5, and I'm just using my big sponge again. Gonna get down in that paint, scrape off the excess, and then just push that paint in. Now, the reason I did this is because if you look at your stencil, it's got a lot of little details, and I really want those details to pop and all those words to kind of come out, because they are all the words of fall. Like when I read this, I was like, yep, that is fall for sure. So you can get, I'm gonna do a little bit more of an advanced technique, but you can also do this really simple. You can paint a background. This would look really pretty if you did an oak background and then painted everything else with this color right on that oak. It would really pop then. You do have to watch out with oak though, or any of our stains. Some of the colors don't pop real good on it, and that's why I'll show you. I'll actually show you, because this was fun. It's a fun little example. So I did start it out with oak, and I did that in the background, and then I painted all my words different colors, and you can't see some of them. So I redid it the way I'm about ready to do it now, and now you can see all those words so much better. So I think if you're gonna do oak background, definitely just stick with this color, this number 5, because it really pops on the oak. As you can see here, the red pops really well. A lot of these colors just don't pop that well though. So that's my advice. I painted this twice already. Once the way I'm getting ready to show you, and once how it was first done. So you want this to dry really good before we put the stencil on. You can always take it over to a hair dryer, but you definitely want it to dry good. And then we're going to use our little sanding and sand that real good. So I'm putting that there to remind me. And then I'm going to peel my stencil. So if you've not peeled a stencil before, it has the stencil paper, a paper backing, and then it's got like a clear thing on top. And so you'll start peeling. If you start peeling, you'll see that clear come off of there, and you're not pulling the blue up. You've got to get that blue up off of that paper. So the top clear piece is actually called transfer paper, or transfer tape. Some people call it transfer tape. And that is what helps carry the stencil over to your project, okay? So it keeps everything together in the right place versus like a regular sticker that you just peel off and then it's one solid piece, because the stencil is a bunch of little pieces actually. All the insides of your letters are separated, different parts of the stencil may be separated. So basically you're just gonna sit there and you're gonna peel this white paper back, and you just do it slow, take your time. If any blue pops up like we have here, you just push that back down and then make sure it stays up. So that's why we go slow, just to make sure we're leaving everything that's blue. Nothing blue should come up on this paper. If it does, back up, push it down, take your time. I'm seeing paint underneath here going, oh, there's some of the red paint. It looks a little scary up in here. But this is how you're gonna do any of our stencil projects. You're gonna have to peel this stencil. If You come in the workshop, we'll help you with this. Some people get very intimidated by stencils. This is a great size, especially if you've not done a stencil before. Something smaller is better to start with. It's definitely easier. I'm gonna go pop this under the dryer for just a second. You do wanna make sure that your paint is very good and dry, and then you wanna have a nice smooth surface. So when we paint on this wood, it raises the grain of the wood. So it's gonna raise that grain up. So we need to smooth that back out to not make a nice smooth surface that our stencil can stick to. And it also keeps us from having paint ooze underneath because of the little raise in the grain and then, you know, any variation. So. Just want to get that there and then wipe off all that dust you've created now, just to give you a nice, smooth, clean surface to put this stencil onto. Okay? And then all we do, it does have a little bit of a cling to it, so be careful, you know, as you're putting it down. I like to keep it kind of up above. This is an edge to edge pretty much stencil, so you'll see when you're at the right spot because you'll be at the edge of all of them. So it's kind of another reason this is good to start with. And then I just start in the middle and then push out and push that down good. You want to make sure that it is on there good so that you get a nice, good outcome. And then you're just going to rub around your letters. Now we have to take the clear transfer tape off. So if you left this on there and you painted on this, nothing would happen. It's happened around here before. So you definitely want to make sure you get that up. You'll notice some of your centers of your letters may be a little wonky. They like to move around, so you can check all the centers of your letters to make sure they're sticking down. Occasionally you'll be missing one just because they're tiny and sometimes they do not want to come out with the stencil. So that's when you can use the tweezers, or I use a little hook tool like this, is a little more comfortable for me. But some people, most of the girls here use tweezers. And you can just move these things around to where you want them to be. This one is being feisty. There, finally got it to stay where I wanted it to. I am missing one little piece that I will do a little touch-up paint on. Not a problem. Okay, so from here, I did the yellow in the middle. So what I'm gonna do is, since it's been a while since I've used these sponges and it's now dry, I'm just gonna cut that off. It's now a new sponge. So remember that when you're using your sponges, you know, we give you plenty every time. But if you can't finish all your projects at one time, or it's a longer project like some of them we've been doing, sometimes it does dry out in between. So you can always cut off the bottom. And I try to use as much of my sponge as possible so that I can keep it for other projects. Or if I want to do more colors on a project than is planned for that project, you know, I've always got extra sponges around. So using the same techniques of dipping into the paint, scraping off all the excess, and then we're just hopping. So when you're working with a stencil, it is very important that you're doing very thin coats, that you're not having any excess in. If you're heavy-handed, I suggest hopping off on that paper or a paper towel before you go on to your project, so that you're not getting too much paint. Because what happens if you get too much paint is that it's going to slip underneath your stencil, and then you're going to not have clean, crisp lines when we take that stencil off. And then you're going to be like, Candace, I can't even read my word. Well, that's because you did too much paint. So it's very important to get all that excess paint off and do a light hopping. Don't ever push it into the thing, and don't don't hop hard, especially this very first coat. That is like where you're sealing the edge of the stencil. It's very important that you do a very light coat on it. So I'm doing the whole center ring with this yellow. You could do this entire thing, one solid color, and be done. Like, that's quite, you know, fine. Or, you know, one solid color and then do your heart, this little heart inset red, you know, and be done. I would not do yellow over this whole thing because you're not going to see the words pop as much. I would do probably the red or the green or the orange if you're going to do one solid color for all the letters, just because those are brighter to do everything with. I am going to be painting each word a different color. So, because, you know, why not? We'll just be a little extra, it's okay. This center part is probably going to want 2 coats, maybe, but I do like to do a little distressing over this stencil, and that's another technique you can do. So I'm probably just going to do 1 coat with it, because it's going to be a little bit more of a rustic look to it. So, let's see, I'm getting that afternoon sun in here, so you see things are changing. It's the evening actually, and we've got rainbows, I think, out in the sky is what I'm hearing, because we just had a rainstorm and sun coming back out. Welcome to Florida. That's how we roll around here. Okay. And then up here around the heart, so I want to do my heart in red, because, you know, why not? It's a heart, right? So I am going around and I'm just putting my sponge on the edge so that I can get up in that little area. It's real easy to do. If you want, you can also paint, you know, cut a sponge in half to make it smaller to get up in there, but it really works just to turn it on its side. And I think we are pretty good. We got a good amount of paint everywhere. So before I do my heart though, I am going to do a little distressing over the stencil. So did you know you could do that? You can distress over the stencil. So people are texting me about the rain and everything. So that's why I'm looking at my phone, getting pictures of rainbows. But I'm in here painting. In here painting fall stuff. I'm having some seasonal dysmorphia here, so. Okay, so I'm gonna distress with a little bit of orange. So got my brush out, roughing it up a little bit to provide some texture. I'm gonna go in to my orange, which has been open for a little bit. And then I'm going to take most of that off on this paper, and then I'm just gonna start at the top and I'm gonna drag it down. And you'll notice as you go over your letters, it really picks up on the edge of those letters. And I like doing this technique on something like this because when you have a word that's like solid like this, it really adds a little bit, I hope you can see that. It really adds a little bit on those letters because you'll really see where that distress color hits the edge of the letter. And when you take the stencil off, it's really gonna pop. So That's why I like doing it. Then I'm going to take one of my other sponges that I've used, and I am going to cut this one in half now to do my heart, okay? And actually, we're about ready to do all of them, so I'll just get going on that, because we're going to do these little letters around the outside. And for all of them, I'm going to do half of a sponge. So I'm taking all these sponges. I need six or seven colors. This one I hadn't used yet, so it's okay. That one has been used multiple times. Get rid of that. And then we'll have plenty of half sponges to go around the outside and paint our different letters. So I'm gonna do my heart with the red. And I'm gonna give this a little stir. Yes, I'm using the tweezers. I will clean them off. But that paint really needed some stirring up. Okay, now I'm going to use my half sponge with my, it's kind of like a barn red. That's what this looks like to me. And I'm just going to go right in the middle of my heart, being careful around the edges that I don't go over that little loop and get into my yellow part, because I don't want to take time to touch it up, but we always can. Okay, da-da-da. Here. Get that real good. Get a couple little coats on there probably. Just because you want that heart to have a real good solid finish. So I did the distressing first because I did not want my heart distressed, okay? So if you're gonna distress, that's what I suggest to do. Unless you want a distressed heart. So now I looked at this and I read the words and I was like, apple cider is this red color. Okay, crisp morning, that's like this green, that's really more green. And then I got to hot cocoa and I was like, I don't have brown, but I do have stain, or I did have stain. If you have brown paint at home, that would be the best. But I made it work with the stain too. So we don't normally sponge with it, but in a pinch it works. And that's how being, you know, flexible helps. So I did cozy blankets as coral, and autumn skies is the orange, and then sweater weather with this other pretty green. So that's just those words kind of called to me like that. So it kind of worked for me. So I'm going to start with my hot cocoa. And I hope I have enough stain here, because I went crazy with that pumpkin tray. I'm going to sponge that on. And I have to do a couple coats of this, especially because it is the stain, which has started to dry out too. So definitely, if you have some brown paint left from one of our other projects, that would probably be the ideal. But we gave you stain this time, and all these other beautiful colors. So I am gonna make this work. That's what we do, right? When we're crafters and creative, we figure it out. Hot cocoa's gotta be brown. And the first time I did this and I painted it on the oak, I was like, I didn't read the words first. And I was like, what am I gonna do with hot cocoa? Because the background's brown. So it was a happy little accident that I got to paint it over, because then my hot cocoa became hot cocoa color. So I am just getting this all out of that sponge, and now it is done. So I'm just going around to each word and painting it with the colors that I said, and using my little half sponges and just tapping down on there and getting it out. In between there's like little circles too, and I did those in the yellow that I did the middle, just to kind of separate them. If you have metallic paint, that would also look pretty with this project. If you wanted to do like a bronze or something in there. And then we go to orange, for our autumn skies. Autumn skies. I hope you guys love this maker box as much as we do. We always love to hear about your projects, so please definitely go on our PGM Maker VIP group. If you can't find it, let us know. We'll send you an invite to it. But it's definitely a great group to go to if you're in our Maker Box Club. And share your pictures, share your projects all done. We love to see them. I need to catch up on some of my own boxes at home because I've painted them here at work and then I don't go home and paint them. So mine are stacking up at home. Also, if you are a Maker Box member and you are local, you can always bring those into the studio and do them during an open paint time. So if that works for you to come in during open paint, you can just pop in any open paint time that we are open. And if you want to come in the evening, if you work during the day and you need to come in the evening, you can come during our pick your project times. Just give us a call and make sure that we have space available that night, just in case it's a very popular workshop or something's going on. Some nights we are a little bit busier and we have to go by registrations, but if we have space, you can definitely bring your project in and do it here in the studio, because it's always more fun to paint with people, isn't it? So definitely be doing that. And we are down to crisp mornings. Fortunately, we are not having crisp mornings yet as far as the weather here. I am a summer girl and I like the summer weather. So I kind of cry when it gets cold. So I'm not ready for crisp mornings yet. But it is definitely a sign of fall, for sure. So let us know what your favorite project was too. Like what did you like? What didn't you like? Tell us all the things. We always like to hear what your thoughts are on things. And then, like I said, I use the yellow, so I am gonna go in with a tiny little point now, just because it's those tiny little dots. So I am tapping off on the table so I don't have too much on there. And I'm just going in and doing those tiny little circles in between. These are optional, but they definitely separate the words, so I would do them. And I like doing them the same color as the inside because I didn't use that on the outside. If you've got other colors at home that you're using, go for it. You know, if you've got some different ones. So that is that, and it is all painted now. Now, some people think you can't start peeling until, sorry, the sun is really coming in on my face, so it's gonna look a little strange for a little bit. But some people think you can't start peeling until it's dry, and that's actually opposite. It's actually better to peel when the paint is wet because you have less chance of it pulling stuff up and, you know, tearing and stuff. So it's actually better to peel when it's wet, but you can do it when it's dry too. So, but you do not have to wait till it's wet. Go slow when you're peeling a stencil. If it's a really big stencil, we always say low and slow, like you want to keep it down towards the board when you're pulling, and pull as horizontal as possible, just to have a better outcome. I like using my little tool here. We also have the tweezers in studio, and we have the tweezers that you can get, because you're gonna need it to get all these tiny little letters out that are in between, okay? They're like the insides of your letters and stuff, you have to pull out separately. And then the love part. Such a fun stencil. I like this project. I love all of the things in this box. I think they scream fall. They look great together. They're gonna look amazing in your houses. We want to see them in your houses. So this is our gotta have it level project. And it's just the cherry on top project basically, because you never know what you're gonna have with gotta have it. Sometimes we give you an item that's not even something you make. It's just something that goes with it. We mostly do all maker projects now. I think it started off more as an additional thing, but we found people like to make things. So it's mostly what we do every once in a while. I know one month we did the bee ornament, one of our story card ornaments, because it just went so perfectly with the box. And that came all completed, and those are great to give as gifts. We have so many story card ornaments in the shop. You can always come in and look at them. They're amazing gifts all year round, honestly. And then people can put it up at Christmas and remember the gift that you gave them. So I always love that. So this grain is a little raised on here after we paint it again. It just has a tendency to do that sometimes. So if that bothers you, you can go back in with your sandpaper and just give it a light sanding, and it just knocks down that grain. It may weather your project a little bit, so just keep that in mind. But I see no problem with that with a fall project especially. I think it looks kind of cool. So I'm just kind of doing that right here, knocking this grain down a little bit more. Oh, so cute, so cute. I'm gonna wipe that off and then show you. So there is our fall swappable door insert. So that is our maker box for this month. Thank you for joining me and painting with me, and we hope to see you in the studio soon. Bye.